Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Living Today. We are here to experience this human life in all of its glorious contrast. Jennifer Lonnberg and her guides have been helping people bridge the gap between spirituality and being human, and how to realistically and practically incorporate spirituality into all aspects of our daily life since 2015. She is the author of multiple books, including Embodied Grace, A Woman's Path to Empowerment, and The Secret Experiences of a Closet Psychic. This is the place to be to talk about all things life and spirituality. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey everybody, it's Jen and welcome back to the next episode of this podcast. And I'm super excited about today just because it builds on what we were talking about last week, which is like, what is spirituality to you, right? Now, we've already established that it's different for everyone because it's going to be very personal to you based on your religion, based on your upbringing, based on what you believe and how you're raised, right? Now, again, I want to take it a little bit further than just associating it with religion. Most of you guys know that I was raised Christian. I love the Christian faith. I love the community and all of those things about it. I do use the Bible still as my resources, and I very closely have a personal relationship with Jesus, and he is also one of my guides that has been with me since the day I was little. So that's kind of a little side note, but just to kind of give you an idea of where I operate from when I was looking deeper into my own spirituality, it does always generally have a Christian theme. But the other thing that I've noticed is that theme is really prevalent among most spiritual practices, most religions. So I'm sure there's some that are outside of the scope of what I'm going to be talking about today, but I feel like at the core of it, it's believing that there's something bigger than ourselves, right? That divine force, that divine Godhead, the universe, source, spirit, we kind of can at least agree that that is it. And that's something that's a theme throughout all of the religions that I know of, right? The other thing that I feel like is really kind of the overall scope of spirituality is mindfulness, compassion, and purpose, right? Now, these are all things that I talk about all of the time because it's just when you have compassion for others, when you show kindness, like that, it's kind of like just be kind, right? Like it's not that hard to just be kind to people. And again, I think most spirituality practices, regardless of what you consider your quote unquote religion, I think that's something that most of the religions that I know of would agree on, that it's good to be compassionate to other humans, right? Having a sense of purpose just goes hand in hand with it, because one of the things that I'm really passionate about is finding your soul purpose, understanding beyond religion and beyond maybe even spirituality that you do have a divine soul purpose that you're here for. Like, I don't feel like we were just thrown onto this planet for no reason. I feel like there is a reason we're here. Now, for some people, that is a sole purpose to learn lessons. For some people, it's just to come down and experience the human life. For others, it's to spread a message. It's to carry light, love, be a healer, whatever that is for each individual. But there is a sense of purpose. And again, there's no right or wrong in that, right? If your purpose is to be the matriarch of your family and be there and be that solid rock for your family, that is a powerful mission. If you're meant to be a healer or a speaker or an author, that is a powerful mission. If you're here to just experience the humanness, that is a very powerful purpose as well, right? But I think when we dive more into our own individuality, then that's when that becomes something that we can get clear on. And when we're clear on that, there's like this almost like a sigh of relief of just relaxing into life and this life that you're meant to live. Now I'm going to get a little bit redneck here because mindfulness is something that when I first started this journey, I wouldn't have known what you meant by mindfulness. And to be honest, it sounds a little bit floofy and like, I don't know, just unrealistic, the mindfulness practices that are out there. But when you really fully understand what that is, it's just simply being like present in the moment, right? Like, so being in the now, this is like Eckhart Tolle, being in the now, being in the present moment. There's so many other spiritual teachers that also talk about that. But the mindfulness to me, really became more about intentionality and being intentional with what you're doing for your life. So in my first book, Embodied Grace, A Woman's Path to Empowerment, the being intentional chapter would be where I would go to this. So instead of calling it mindfulness, my redneck brain called it, let's just be intentional about our life, right? So this is where I think it's really good to start when we talk about the idea of mindfulness. And are you able to be fully engaged in whatever activity you're doing? And can you operate from your life without judgment and without distraction, right? And distraction is something that we all have, just because of all of the tech and the social media and all of those kind of things. Like, there's so much going on. I just had a really good image pop in my head, and I don't remember where we were driving, but Jim and I were driving on a highway, and there's billboards now that are not even in the city. Like, immediately I think of like New York City downtown. I would not want to drive in that because there's so much chaos going on. There's billboards flashing stuff all around. And I've never been downtown New York City, but I'm just going off of what I've seen, like on TV from like the New Year's Eve type things, right? And then like pictures that I've seen when people go there and what that would look like. I wouldn't want to drive there. And I remember Jim and I driving down a highway, because you guys all know that we travel all over, right? So this is somewhere in the middle of a remote highway in urban United States, and there was this billboard flashing, and it was like almost like a full-on story that was going on the billboard. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I'm not driving, because I totally just got lost in the story that was showing on that billboard. I think it ended up being like a car commercial or something. But I'm like, I could have totally gotten distracted, right? So it's little things like that. And again, this is, again, coming from non-judgment, like, right? Like, I'm not judging that, but I'm just saying there's so many things that can keep us distracted in this lifetime, in this experience of 2023 as we're experiencing it right now. And I'm sure this is going to be, tech is probably not going away. So being distracted is something that's really prevalent for so many people, but especially when it's keeping you away from living the life that you're meant to live. Now, this can show up in the form of busyness, right? Like, this is something I used to always be busy. We were running. And it's not always a bad thing, because when your kids are young and you've got all the things to do. But if I was doing that just kind of haphazardly and not really being in the moment, like enjoying whatever the activity was that we're doing. And again, I have deepened this for myself about being intentional and being fully integrated into the moment, being in the now moment, being engaged in whatever it is you're doing, right? So this can show up like when your kids are little and you're playing with them, but you're kind of distracted and thinking about a million other different things. Again, no judgment. We've all been there. But the more you can be in the moment of what you're doing, the more you can have mindfulness, or again, my redneck saying being intentional. If you're being intentional about your time and what you're doing, it's going to give you a deeper experience, right? Deeper overall experience. Now we can take this a little bit deeper and look at it like, are you living the life that you're meant to live? And you have to get really raw and honest about if you're living the life you want, and if not, why, right? If you don't already have what you want in your life, what are the reasons? What are the quote unquote excuses? Excuses are really just, reasons are really just excuses that they kind of go hand in hand, right? Like, sometimes there are good reasons of what's going on, but if you really want to get raw and honest and really start making changes in your life, like in my book, I'm like, it's a little bit harsh, but I think I said, reasons are just excuses that you have. Something to that effect is what I put in my book. And I know that sounds a little harsh, but if you want to really be completely, authentically intentional about the life you're living, we have to identify any distractions. We have to identify any excuses. We have to identify the reasons that we're not doing what we want to do in life. these things are always go back into limiting beliefs, right? So if you want to go deeper into this, you can always get my book, Embodied Grace, A Woman's Path to Empowerment. Is a workbook version is what I have now on Amazon. If you want just the original one, you can get it as a PDF download in my Facebook group. But I feel like the workbook is just so much more powerful, which is why I took down the original version, and I'm just only publishing now the workbook, because again, it just gets you deeper into these ideas and these topics, right? So ultimately, where I want you to think about for today's podcast is, how can you tap into your own infinite potential? How can you tap into your own wisdom by being intentional about your spirituality, being intentional about the life that you want to live, being intentional when it comes to mindfulness, compassion, and your soul purpose, right? When we do that, I feel like it really does help us feel a little bit more fulfilled, feel like we're not just spinning our wheels. And especially with what's coming, guys, the Saturn in Pisces, and again, you don't have to be into astrology. When I talk about these topics, don't get sidetracked or distracted, right? We were just talking about distractions. Don't get sidetracked and distracted about the astrology itself. Just feel into the theme, understand the topic and the energy behind what I'm talking about. So for example, with this Saturn in Pisces, it's really interesting because Saturn is all about structure and Pisces is all about the abyss and formlessness, right? Like not having any form, not having any structure. So there's going to be this kind of push-pull dynamic where it's going to be easy to get lost if we don't have the structure, right? So just know that Saturn in Pisces, which is the next 3 years, the energy that we're going to be feeling can be kind of distracting just in itself. So it's time to start being a little bit more mindful. Sorry, guys, I had to be a little bit ornery there. I had to be a little bit more mindful, a little bit more intentional about the way that we're going through life. So sending you guys lots of love. I hope you're doing well. Don't forget to join the Facebook group. And also, if you want that download, you can get it in the Facebook group or go to Amazon and order the book. I feel like it's going to be really important moving forward to get clear on what you want in your life, to maybe revisit it. I know a lot of you already have the book. Go and reread it. And I kind of jokingly, for the people that are new, I always tease my clients that have been with me for a very long time, because I'm like, I know you guys think I'm crazy, but I just read the book again because this was downloaded from my guides. These were the steps that I got from my guides and angels to help me create the life that I'm living now. And so I go back to the book all the time. I go back to the questions in the book all the time, because anytime I'm ready to reevaluate or go to the next level, everything in that book is very beneficial, has really important questions to help you get recentered, refocused, and more intentional with what you want to create next. So that being said, sending you guys lots of love, and I will talk to you all soon.